Hey there, CJ Math students. So I'm going to go ahead and help you out with homework 2.16 before we get the weekend started. It is a difficult homework set. It's a lot of the problems that we saw on our mid-unit quiz, plus some of the new stuff. So let's lock in here. Please make sure you're showing all work just like I am. All right, so I'm going to do number 1 for you. A key thing about these problems are kind of being able to see, maybe perhaps certain things will cancel out. First go through the problem. This is just finding the sum or difference. So we're talking about nothing but SSAK and DSSL. So these are the only rules we're concerned about for these sets of problems. So go through here. See, I have a minus sign, so that should be plus and negative. And let's use the commutative property right off the bat. Let's not even split apart stuff. Let's just use the commutative property right off the bat because I think perhaps you might be able to see something. So 2 1/5 plus, let's get this guy, bring it right over here, negative 2 1/5 plus negative 12.2 plus 5.5. And look at what happens. These guys cancel out. They become 0 because they are opposites, the additive inverse, right? So I have 0 plus negative 12.2 plus 5.5. And so this is a DSSL problem. So we put the number that has the higher absolute value on top, 12.2 minus 5.5, and we subtract. So we can borrow from the 2, making that 1, making that 12. You get 7, put your decimal point, and then this is borrow from the 1 to make that 11. 11 minus 5 is 6, 6.7, but your answer is negative because you had more negatives than you did positives, so negative 6.7. So a lot of you might have said, oh man, I'm going to have to convert that to a fraction. I'm going to maybe have to find common denominators. Use the commutative property first, just like we did in this step, to see, hey, is there something that can cancel out, instead of me saying, oh man, I have to find common denominators and all that. Number 2, I'd say plus and negative, and then I would think about borrowing. I'm going to start number 3 for you, but then you guys will finish it. So I would set it up like 5 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. So there you will have to find common denominators. All right, number 4 I wanted to do with you guys. So negative 2.1 plus 5.3 plus 1/10 plus 2.1 minus 5.3. So let's first make that plus and negative. So again, before we freak out about there being 1/10 in this problem, let's go ahead and try and use the commutative property. So negative 2.1 plus positive 2.1 plus 5.3 plus negative 5.3 plus 1/10. And now, because you hopefully can see, I have opposites here, which add up to 0, plus opposites here, which add up to 0, plus 1/10, this problem is not that bad at all. It's just 1/10. Okay? Commutative property can really help us out. Let's look at number 5 together. So we have 3/5 plus 20.3 plus positive 5 3/5. So let's do 3/5 plus, let's break that apart. When I break this apart, it's 5 plus 3/5. So hopefully you should realize, okay, plus 3/5 plus 5 plus 20.3. Okay, what did I do? I just used the commutative property to put that 3/5 next to that 3/5. So this is really 6/5 plus, what's 5 plus 20.3? That's 25.3. And so yeah, now we may have a problem of, okay, we actually have to change this to a fraction, or actually have to change that to a decimal. Well, first, 6/5 is really 1 1/5, right? How did I get 1 1/5? Because 5 goes into 6 one time, right? You can do that off to the side here. Yes, you should write this down. 1 time with 1 left over, 1 1/5. Plus 25, now let's change this to tenths, right? 0.3 is just 3/10. Okay, so let's scoot this up over here. 1 1/5 plus 25 3/10, right? Different denominators, so yes, we're using our addition subtraction rules. Times 2 to find common denominators. You get 1 2/10 plus 25 3/10. And now I have common denominators, so I get 26 5/10. And hopefully you can either write that as 26.5, or you can say, 5/10, divide them both by 5, and that's equal to 1/2, right? So 26 1/2 should be your answer. That's a tricky one. but not impossible. Number 6, I'll help set up for you. It's 10 plus -5 plus -3/8. So when I do this part, a DSSL part, I get 5 plus -3/8. And then I'll have to do that whole thing where I borrow again, right? 4 plus 8/8 plus -3/8. And then 8/8 and -3/8, they have common denominators. So now I can say, all right, this is DSSL. 8 plus -3 is 5. So 4 5/8. Number 7 is very similar to number 6, so just make sure you break it apart. When you break it apart, make sure you have a -1/4. And so rewind and watch number 6 again if you need help with number 7. Number 8, let's go through this and say, all right, keep, change, change. So we have 1/5 plus 5.2 plus 5 plus 1/5. Right, all I did was break those apart. They're both positive now after the keep, change, change. So 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 5.2 plus 5. This gives me 2/5, right? 2/5 plus 5.2 plus 5 is 10.2. All right, let's scoot this up over here. 2/5 and 10.2. 2/5 plus 10.2 is just 2/10, right? 0.2, 2/10, 2/10. So now, yeah, we have to go ahead and find common denominators. Times 2 times 2. We get 4/10 plus 10 and 2/10. And that 4/10 and 2/10 add up to 10 and 6/10. Now you could say your answer is 10.6. Or again, you could divide by 2 this time and get 10 and 3/5. Right? Okay, so now on the next section, we are using SSP and DSN. Same signs positive, different signs negative. So look to cross cancel when you get fractions. When you don't, you can just multiply however you want, commutative property multiplication. So first of all, this is an SSP problem. My answer will be positive, right? Plus, negative, positive. So I could do 0.5 times 10 and then times 2, or I could say, hey, I know what 10 times 2 is, and that's 20. And 20 times 0.5, this is just saying, you don't have to actually line this up and do all that. It's just saying what half of 20. That's what that question is saying. And yes, write that down. What's half of 20? It's just 10. And it's a positive 10 because we had 2 negatives. Okay. Number 10, I'll help set up for you. It should be -1/6 times -6/1 times -2/1. What did I do? I just put these whole numbers over 1 so I could actually see, is there anything to cross cancel? With positive negatives here, I have 3 negatives, so my answer will be negative. So put a negative in your answer. I'll leave you to cross cancel and solve. Number 11, -3/4 times 8/1 times -4/1. Oops, this is -3/4, not -3/8. All right, so let's cross cancel the 4 and the 8. I can go ahead, divide them both by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So let's go ahead and multiply straight across. First of all, between positive and negative, I have 2 negatives, so my answer will be positive. So I can forget all about the negatives. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, so my answer is 24. For number 12, I'll help set up. 9/1 times -2/3 times -5/1. You have 2 negatives, so your answer should be positive. Look to cross cancel and solve. Number 13, -3/4 times, oops, I don't have to rewrite this problem. I can just use the problem right here. So plus a negative, I have 3 negatives, so my answer will be negative. So put a negative in my answer column right away. So 3 and 4, I can divide both of those by 2. This becomes a 2, this becomes a 1. 3, 8, nope, nothing else. So now I go ahead and multiply across. 3 times 1 is 3, times 8 is 24. How'd I get that again? 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 8 is 24. 2 times 3 is 6, right? 2 and 3 is 6, and 6 times 9 is 54. Right? So, oops, you know what? Before I do that, there was actually one more thing I can cross cancel. Sorry, so erase that. The 3's, right? 3 and 3, I can make them both 1. My fault. So how about we do that again? So 1 times 1 is 8. And 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 9 is 18. So now this makes it much easier to simplify them. Divide both of these by 2, and I get 4 over 9, so negative 4/9. I like putting the negative in my answer column right away, just in case I do the whole problem and I forget about the negatives. And boom, it's right there, right off the bat. I'll set up 14 for you. 4 over 1 times 1 over 3 times negative 6 over 1 times 3 over 1 times negative 1/4. It might be helpful to rearrange this, so let's do 4 over 1 times negative 1 over 4 times 1 over 3 times 3 over 1 times negative 6 over 1. I just used the commutative property right there. And so plus and a negative, I have 1, 2 negatives. My answer will be positive. All right, number 15, I get negative 1 over 1 times, let's flip it, right? When we find the quotient, we flip the second fraction or invert it, times negative 1 over 8. Since I have two negatives, 1, 2, my answer will be positive. So I get 1 over 8 is my answer. Number 13, 17. 13 over 1. I have to change this. I'm going to keep a division sign, change this to an improper fraction first. So times 13 over 3, and it's negative. Since I only have one negative, my answer will be negative. So I'll put a negative sign in my answer right away. Now I should flip it and change it to multiplication. So 13 over 1 times 3 over 13. Again, don't worry about the negative sign. Since you have your negative in your answer, you're all good to go. Look to cross cancel. Look at that. These guys cross cancel. I get 3 over 1, which is the same thing as negative 3. Number 18, I'll help set up for you. So 7 over 1 times, we're flipping this, 3 over 7 times, we're flipping this, 10 over 1. We only had one negative sign. So our answer is negative, so put a negative in the answer column. I'll do number 19 with you because it goes over some properties that we have not done. So 6 times 2 plus 4. We're multiplying 6 times 2 and 6 times 4. That's exactly what they're saying right here. That's called the distributive property. 6 plus negative 6, that's 0. Those are when you have opposites add up to 0. That's the additive inverse. 6 times 0 equals 0. That's any number times 0 is 0. That's the 0 product of multiplication. Negative 6 times negative 4. That's going to be a SSP, same signs positive. That's the positive product. Negative 6 times 4. That's a DSN, different signs negative. That's the negative product. And obviously the last one, we know this very well. 6 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 6. Just flipping the order of these two guys does nothing to change my answer. That is the commutative property. Right? Number 20, you're going to want to make sure that you flip these guys before you try and multiply and match up. So make sure you flip and then multiply straight across to match them up with their correct product. Good luck. Call me if you have questions this weekend. Have a wonderful weekend.